where you got picks from me, Meansy, this piece of crap. Plus, you get access to our nice little prop shopping tool right here where you can see exactly what we have projected for each individual prop, plus where the best lines at. And most importantly, you get access to Grant's Action Lounge. What is Grant's Action Lounge? It's my Discord where I'm throwing in all my picks each and every day. As soon as I bet them, so you can get them in before the odds end up moving, just go to scoresandodds.com/Discord. And me and Dean were talking just seconds ago. He thinks that you measure genital length from the taint, which is just not true. Dean, elaborate.
I believe we were talking about Jordan Nwora and the prospect of him playing basketball and how well he would play tonight versus a revenge game against Milwaukee. I have no idea. What is this taint you speak of? Feel free. I've never heard that term before.
You said it.
Check the tape.
There is no tape. We weren't recording it, but Dean, you be proud of me. You know what I've got a lot of tonight?
What do you have a lot of tonight?
Alt lines.
Oh, I love the alt lines. It's also alt line season too. Like goofiness is certainly happening for sure.
Oh yeah, no, there's some good ones right now. Like there's a lot of situations that we don't have a ton of information on. Like we have Cat coming back to the last two games. Will he play 36 minutes? Will he play 30 minutes? Played 32 the other night. But no Russell in the lineup. Edwards has been bad since Cat's been in the lineup, but I don't think that's going to continue. Like all sorts of stuff in that game. We got Durant probably playing tonight. I would assume playing. I think he's still listed.
He's expected to come back unless there's some sort of setback during warm-ups or something like that. And I guess that's what's got him. That's what got him in this situation in the first place, right? He slipped on something in warm-ups, but yeah, supposedly he'll be fine. I mean, he's expected to play tonight for sure.
Yeah, we got a lot of miscellaneous things that I personally am planning on taking big advantage of with these alt lines.
So I love it. Yeah.
We'll get into it. We're saving most of the alt lines for later. So we'll just get into the regular ones. We're going game by game, starting off with Milwaukee going up against Indy. I have a few bets in this game. So first of all, Brolo under 17.5 points, -109 at Caesars. Middleton may or may not play. First end of a back-to-back, but this line is just a bit too high. I have Neesmith over 17.5 points, rebounds, assists, -105 over at Betfred. And I have one more where I have Jordan Nwora under 25.5 points, rebounds, assists. It's just a bit too high. Oh, and Nembhard over 14.5 points. A little bit of an alt line just because I like the odds better. Over 14.5 plus 115 at Betfred. You like, dislike any of those, my friend?
I'll just tell you this. Spoiler alert, Chris Middleton's not playing. And don't be surprised that more guys rest for Milwaukee. This is the front end of a back-to-back, and they play Boston tomorrow. In Milwaukee, if they have anything left to play for at this point, they want to lock in that one spot. Currently, they're 2 wins in front of Boston. Boston in the 2 spot and 3 losses in front of Boston. They're also 3 wins ahead of Denver. Denver currently the 1 seed out west. So tomorrow's matchup really would go a long way to solidify that one. Tonight, it's the Pacers. You don't really need you don't need Middleton tonight. I wouldn't be shocked if something else happened as far as Milwaukee. Just throwing it, if all of a sudden, like Giannis doesn't play, would not shock me. Indiana, like you said, no Halliburton. Currently, Miles Turner is questionable with his ankle. He didn't play last game. The combination of like Isaiah Jackson and Jalen Smith drew those center minutes. Nobody healed. He's still sick. Pacers, I believe they're still jockeying for. So the Pacers are doing their best to keep up with Portland, but it's impossible. Like Portland's just. They are the LeBron James of tanking right now. They're right there as far as record, getting those ping pong balls, a couple here and there. But Indiana probably doesn't want to win this game if you ask him in a private room, which makes me suggest or think that Turner's not going to play. And also, Milwaukee wants to. They'll grab it without trying much effort, but because they're just distinctly better. Also, I wouldn't be surprised if Milwaukee sits guys a little bit earlier than they normally would. Like you talk about some unders. Like if this is like a 17-point game, 18-point game in the fourth quarter, I can see some players going to the bench just a little bit early than typical, just because that matchup tomorrow night with a back-to-back in Boston, that's the game that really matters. The Nwora one I didn't love. Everything else I'm good with, though. You mentioned Nwora under, little revenge game for him. I think they'll give him a fair bit of run. He was on his way last game until they got fully blown out. I don't think he got any fourth quarter minutes. And again, that could happen once again. But, we'll see. But otherwise, I think you're spot on with your assessment as far as Milwaukee and the Pacers.
All right, moving on to the next game, Houston versus Brooklyn. You probably already know at least one person I'm betting.
Yeah, so Bridges, I was looking at his number, and it's funny. And it's Bridges, right? I assume it's Bridges over. Yeah, and we've talked about this. We've touted Bridges ever since he started up in Brooklyn, essentially. Well, what was he? He started at what, 21, 21 and a half, 22, 22 and a half. I think it's a 26 and a half now. Is that what it's at? I was looking at
it. And it's moving. I got it at 26 and a half over minus 105. The best line is currently minus 135 at that number. I also hit 30 plus at plus 150 over.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's when you said alts, I'm like, oh, it's got to be Mikal Bridges alts. Like, I feel good about that one. Matchup against Houston. We know what Houston gives up the most 3-pointers made in the league by a far bit. They're bad defensively. Really, really awesome matchup. And Bridges, we keep talking about how he's the number one guy now in Brooklyn. As he was 3 or 4, depending on with Phoenix. And it's not going away. Like, he's the guy. You look at that roster, and he's certainly risen to the occasion. And I think that number is still too low, 26 and a half. And you also remember the 3-point stuff. Remember, it used to be 1.5 3-pointers on Bridges, and I'm like, oh, if it's 1.5 versus Houston, pounce. It's now 2.5, and you got to lay like 125. I'm not saying you can't do it, but I guess we were spoiled from the start, and the books have certainly adjusted. Is that something you're looking at as far as made threes, or the line's just not good enough at this point?
This line's not great. I actually just I'm hitting Mikal Bridges over 34 and a half points at plus 425.
Oof, that's beautiful. Yeah, like he can drop 40 and wouldn't surprise me at all. Wouldn't surprise me.
Let me get $50 on. Yeah, part of the reason why I went crazy on the alts this morning is I got a trader over at Betfred that was just letting me get everything I wanted. And so I just kept hammering away everything. Like, normally, like right now on this one, they just limited me to $50 on it. But earlier, let's see, like Cat, they let me get $200 on 25 plus, $100 on 30 plus, which isn't really normal. So yeah, we'll get to some more of them. But on the other side, Jalen Green's been a walking bucket recently. 21 and a half points. I took his over, and I got it minus 113. I'm pretty sure that's moved quite a bit. Yeah, minus 130 now. So again, if you guys have been in the minus 145 at Caesars, so it's moved 30 points at Caesars. So if you guys have been in the Action Lounge, it's paying off.
I just think it's worth noting, and again, this is something I talk about a lot, not necessarily on the show, but like other content I do. Houston, the Rockets, again, their spot is secure. They fully tanked. They're not moving. There's no tanking anymore. And then people just say, oh, Detroit's tanking, Houston's tanking. They're not tanking. Like, Houston's actually playing their guys a ton of minutes. The work is done. They've already locked in their spot, essentially. They cannot get any more ping pong balls. They're not going to lose any. And the amount of minutes these Rockets guys are getting is outrageous in like close games. 34 last game against New York, that was a blowout. You got 34 minutes in the blowout versus New York, right? 35, 30, 37, 40, 39, 40, 37, 40,
I don't think he's had less
42.
than 30 since March 7th, I want to say, was the last time he had less than 30.
They are playing their guys. Houston is playing tight rotations right now. KPJ, Jalen Green, even Şengün's getting his minutes bumped up. And I don't know if the books have reacted quick enough to it, but yeah, there's no tanking here. Why not? Let's give Green as much development he can in his second year, and just let him close strong. And again, there's a chance for like 37 minutes if this game is close. I feel like people are sleeping on that, what's going on in Houston, but the minutes are real. And Jalen Green, again, 34 in that blowout versus New York, which was, I think, a 25-point game, I want to say. It was real ugly. So note that. I like the over on Green, if you can't tell.
All right, nice. Moving on to the next game, Miami versus the Knicks. I just have a few bets here. I went with Jimmy Butler under 0.5 3-pointers made, minus 145. He has 3 in the last 2 games on 4 shot attempts. So it's kind of elevated a little bit. Minus 145, I think it's moved to minus 170, so not really worth it anymore. Jimmy Butler under 5.5 assists, minus 123 at Caesars. I don't like that one as much anymore. Vincent might be out, which is probably going to increase Butler's assists a bit. You can actually get it minus 105 now at MGM. So, yeah, I don't mind it at minus 105. And then Tyler Hero over 19.5 points, minus 110 at Betfred. I bet that before Jimmy Butler was ruled probable. I had a feeling there was a chance he might not play. Vincent obviously being out would probably get a little bit more minutes to Hero, not much. But even at 19.5, sure that line's probably right where it was before. He's still been playing solid 20 plus in 3 straight games. Yeah, you can get it minus 114 now. I still don't mind it at that, but it's probably one where I would stay away from at this point.
Yeah, when you mentioned the Miami stuff, it's kind of a mess. And they did this yesterday with Butler. He did the hokey pokey all over the place. He was probable. He was questionable. I think he was doubtful at some point, and then he was ruled out. Butler ruled in or probable 40 minutes ago with his neck. I wouldn't be shocked if he doesn't play again. But, well, I assume he's going to play, but stay tuned. As of 40 minutes ago, Kyle Lowry was out, and now Kyle Lowry, as of 5 minutes ago, is questionable to play in the back half of the back-to-back. And Vincent
didn't even see that.
Yeah, Miami's just a mess. They played games. They played a lot of games over the season with the injury reports where they had like 10 or 11 guys in there. They've gotten better, a little less ridiculous, but they've kind of ramped it up of late as well. So just it's hard to have reads on what's going to happen here officially with Miami. But my guess, I thought Lowry was going to sit in the back half of back-to-back, but the weird midday upgrade, and maybe it's like one of Lowry and Vincent will play and one will sit. Who knows what they're doing?
Who knows? They're trying to get into that 6th spot right now. So,
well, they're jockeying with isn't New York right in front of them? I think they are, right?
The Nets are half game ahead of them, and they got 2 games up on the Hawks and Raptors, and 3.5 up on the Bulls. So they're just trying to get out of that play-in game right now. And I put a $200 free bet down the other day to win $16K on Miami to win the championship. So
my Miami Heat, it's not happening, but you can hedge out if things go your way.
I mean, it was a $200 free bet, and
the
main thing is I put a $200 free bet down to win $40K on the Timberwolves, and that was I can't believe that line.
I think that's pretty. I mean, look, again, you don't think the Timberwolves are going to win the championship. I don't think they're going to win the championship, but also the odds are probably too extreme. The West is pretty wide open, and again, they only have to fall into a couple wins, and you can hedge out and make a fair bit of money if you want to do it that way as well. However you feel.
They're a half game behind the Warriors, 1 game behind the Clippers, 1.5 games behind the Suns. They could legit be the 4 seed.
They could. It's possible. And we haven't seen the fully formed T-Wolves this year basically all season, or we haven't seen a lot of it. At some point, Cat's basically been out a good chunk of the season. But they've been disappointing. It's fair to say that. And the Gobert experiment has not been spectacular so far, but we'll see.
It helps him having Conley back.
He has been better with Mike Conley, the veteran presence. The former, obviously they have some chemistry back in their days in Utah. By the way, some news coming in: Tyus Jones doubtful. John Moran expected to play. He's not even on the injury report anymore. Triple J doubtful. Oh, Bane doubtful. If you could smash anything on Memphis right now, smash it.
Yep.
Bane.
It's all gone.
It's all gone already.
Yeah, it's gone.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just like that.
Yep. Moving on to the next game, Lakers, Chicago. I got 1 bet. I like LeBron over 24.5 points, minus 105 at Betfred. I think this was a specific Betfred bet. Minus 120 everywhere else. Just a little bit too low. It's moved to 25.5 in some places. But we won't spend too much time on that game since I got a boatload of other bets.
Have we got the word he's starting, or I assume that was just a one-time thing coming off the bench? He played 29 minutes.
I don't know. Even coming off the bench, I think it'll eat up enough usage. But I would assume he's going to start.
Yeah, I mean, we're projecting him for 34 minutes, what it's worth. So he's officially questionable. I assume he plays. But yeah, feel free to move on.
Yep. Utah, San Antonio. I have Zach Collins over 28.5 points, rebounds, assists. He's been playing really, really solid recently. 21, 7 and 4, 12, 7 and 1, 19, 8 and 3, 24, 8 and 4, 25, 6 and 5, 23, 11 and 4 over the last 6 games. So hit it in 5 out of the last 6. Just a solid overall number.
Zach Collins?
Yep.
Yeah, the only hiccup there, I would just say, is Walker Kessler has been a really, really good defender, really good rim protector. Overall, the Utah defense is not good, but Kessler has been good. But, obviously Collins has been really solid too. I would just that would be my only thing I would throw out there is that Kessler, I don't necessarily want to pick on him directly. Not that everything is going to be directly at him. You know how that works in the NBA, but just throwing it out there. That's my only precaution flag.
Yeah, I throw caution to the wind, Daniel. That's what I do. Detroit going up against OKC. I got a few bets here. I took slight alt line, so I got Jaden Ivey over 19.5 points plus 115 at Betfred. Bagley over 17.5 points plus 160 over at Betfred. And then the one I really like, which I keep betting it's lost me some money the last few games, but who cares? I've won so much money on it. SGA over 31.5 points, minus 106 at Caesars. I think we have him projected for 33. Obviously chance of a blowout here, but Detroit absolutely piss poor at defense. Just awful on the defensive end. This season, I think they're currently 3rd. You can name Houston, Detroit, or San Antonio as the worst defensive team in the league. No one's going to argue with it. But SGA, last 4 games, 31, 30, 27, and 30 points. So, he hasn't hit in any of the last 4 games, but he hasn't been far off in every single other game since the All-Star break he's hit. So great matchup here. They're still trying to get into the playoffs. I think they're
Are they though? I guess they are.
They're at the 10 seed right now. They're not trying terribly hard, but they're 2 games back of the 7 seed, 2.5 games back of the 6 seed. Again, it's conceivable that the Thunder could end up not even in the play-in game. It's wild in the West. It is very wild in the West right now. But I
just want to say, not to cut you off, but SJ officially questionable, did not play yesterday. And you know how he wasn't playing back-to-backs most times of late. This did not appear to be like a rest one, play one thing. His ankle is legit dinged, right? So apparently it's like a real injury. So there's a legit chance he doesn't play today. I can absolutely see OKC. If SGA plays, it wouldn't shock me. I don't think they've reported yet. I feel like they haven't. It's the back half of a back-to-back, so a lot of times these teams don't report as quickly as far as their injury report. Wouldn't shock me if we got somebody else resting, if not SGA. Just kind of keep an eye on that, I suppose. But yeah, like you said, the matchup certainly spectacular. And again, there's a chance SGA just doesn't play, and obviously you get your money back on it. But keep an eye on that. I could see. I don't know, man. It's so weird. They lost at home versus. Was it home? I think it was home versus Charlotte. I know they lost the game for Charlotte. Whatever was left of Charlotte. Did you see Charlotte roll out DSJ a minute before the game started, basically, with a toe?
Yeah.
That was pretty lame. But, man, that's but Jalen Williams, I watched a good chunk of this game. So I watched the Charlotte, whatever was left of them versus OKC. Jalen Williams was the best player on that court by far. Man, that guy is awesome. Man, he's he's not going to be Rookie of the Year. It's going to be Banchero, and that's probably correct. But, man, Williams is so good.
Yeah, OKC has a bright future with SGA, Giddey, Dort, Williams, and Holmgren.
Yeah, Chet Holmgren, supposedly he's legit. I don't watch college basketball, but Gonzaga, I want to say. A lot of length. But, he's just been out for the whole season, obviously. Next year, I assume he's going to be back with his foot. But,
OKC, win the championship next year.
I mean, there's going to be a window where they're going to be interesting for sure.
Yeah. Next game, Clippers, Memphis. I don't know if I don't have anything in this with all the news. We're just going to
you can't get anything at Memphis right now. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I have a bunch of bets in these last 2 games. So Minnesota versus Phoenix, I am all over everything. So Cat specifically, I have over 19.5 points plus 100 at Betfred. I have over 25 plus at plus 300 and 30 plus at plus 850. I have Cat 30 plus PRA minus 125 at win, 35 plus plus 210 at win, 40 plus plus 525 at win. And then I think I took his over on rebounds, over 6.5, minus 120 over at Maverick. Played, I think, 27 in his first game back. He played 32 in his last game back. Stays out of foul trouble. I could see him easily end up with close to 36 in this game, maybe even more. Again, they're trying to get into this is a very important game for them. But Cat on the season without Russell in the lineup and just without Russell in the lineup, 26.74 points per 36, close to 5 assists, and 9.52 rebounds per 36, 28% usage. The odds I'm getting on these are just silly to me, in my opinion. So I'm rolling with it.
Yeah. Russell obviously shipped away to the Lakers. Phoenix on the other side, by the way, you mentioned already, Durant is coming back. They're going to be fully healthy. I don't know if you have any. Did you say any Phoenix bets? I'm curious if you happen to have any there. But
I will get to Phoenix in a second. I also took Edwards over 21.5 points, I want to say. I took him at 25 plus at plus 145, but I also hit him his normal line. Maybe I didn't hit his normal line. I just took his alt line. 25 plus at plus 145. Again, with Cat on the floor and with Russell off, he's averaging 34.53 points per game, 36, and he should play close to 40 minutes tonight. He's been playing close to 40 minutes in close games. And again, this game means a lot.
I think Minnesota, like, they've been getting a lot of crap, and rightfully so, about the Gobert trade, right? And their fans are totally bummed about that. So I think them even just making the playoffs and, like, making an appearance it's not a big W overall, but they have to show something for that trade, right?
I think if
they want in is the point.
If they get into the playoffs, then I'll take it as a dub if I was a Minnesota fan.
Yeah. And you get
not a dub on the trade, obviously. They unequivocally that trade was one of the worst in history of any sport. But yeah, it's not looking like a good trade. But yeah, overall, I'm going to. I think Minnesota's a lot better than people realize. Like, I think Russell might have been a little bit of a cancer in that lineup, and him being out, Conley being in there, Cat being back, they're a much, much, much better team than people realize.
Slow-mo's been spectacular for them, which is kind of surprising. Kyle Anderson. Slow-mo, Kyle Anderson. And, like, I don't know. I have no idea if Naz Reid is good, but, like, he's like an incredible DFS player and just accumulator of fantasy points when he ever gets some run. And, like, obviously he's blocked by Gobert and Cat, but I'm curious what he would be like if he got, like, 28 minutes for a different team on the reg.
Yeah.
I don't know what his contract situation is, but I don't know how great of a defender he is either, to be honest. Fun player to watch. And I just love his 3-point shot because it is the flattest. It has like no arc on it. It's kind of wild, but just an enjoyable player to watch. I like rooting for Naz, but your thoughts as far as Phoenix. I'm curious if we coincide because I'm guessing. I feel like the number on Booker is too low.
Very low.
So go ahead, give your thoughts.
Yeah, so I took a few of his alt lines. So it's sitting at 27.5, minus 117 at Caesars, minus 115 at PointsBet. I got 30 plus at plus 130 and 35 plus at plus 340. He's had 34 plus in all 3 games playing with Durant. And so if Durant doesn't play, all these numbers are way too low. If Durant does play, I don't know if that actually hurts his productivity that much. Like, he's been on a tear without Durant, and he was on a tear when Durant got there. It's just ridiculous. What is he averaging this month? He's averaging 32.7 points per game this month, and he's had 35 multiple times. He's had 30 in like 80% of the games. And again, 3 of those games with Durant, 37, 35, 36 points in those 3 games.
They played 67 minutes together, and Booker's usage is 31.1%, which is slightly lower than his season usage, down 3%, but still 31% is really good. Also, they're going to stagger him, right? Also, Durant gets some cleaner looks. Like if you watched every part of the Durant Booker stuff, like they were getting, you can't put 3 guys on both. You can't put 2 guys on both, right? So more efficient shots available. And the matchup against Minnesota is good, right? And from the outside, just firing from the outside. Booker looks really, really strong. The number is too low. They're going to stagger him. And also Durant's not going to play 35 minutes his first game back. He'll have plenty of minutes without Durant. I think it's very much of an overreaction. And despite the fact that, man, I had so many bets and so many prize pick stuff tied to Booker scoring 30.5 points against Philadelphia last weekend. I think it was last weekend. I should just drop a couple days ago, whatever it was. And he had 29 points I think at the end of 3. And he finished with 29 points.
I too had over 30.5 points, so I was right there with you.
Oh, that was brutal. And they brought him back in for like a minute. And they said it's a blowout. Let's get him out of here. But yeah, could have really, you got to move on. But like, it's the danger of having so many things tied to one thing. It could have been a good night for your boy. It was a good night, but it could have been a great night. But we move on.
Yep, moving on. Last game, Sacramento, Portland. Sabonis over 7.5 assists. I think the line's actually gotten worse for me, but I think that's because it was at 6.5. It moved to 7.5, but you can get better odds on over 7.5. I think you can get plus 115, plus 108 at some spots. Sabonis, we have projected for 8.71 assists in this spot. I took the over 7.5 assists plus 105 at Betfred. I took the over 9.5 at plus 330 at Betfred. He's been crushing it. Like I think, I don't know. I can't. I know I wrote this up earlier, and I had numbers memorized a little bit, but my brain not as good as it used to. But 4 in the last game, 7 the game before that, 9, 12, 9, 10, 5, 10, 15, 4, 11, 11. Like he's been getting triple dubs at a massive clip recently, averaging 8.4 assists per game this month. It's a very solid matchup versus Portland. I know there's a chance of a blowout, but I rolled with it. And then I also took Eubanks over 6.5 rebounds, minus 125. Maverick, I hit it again at minus 133 over at Caesars. I think it's that good of a bet. We haven't projected, what was it, massively over this. 8.95 rebounds is what we have projected for.
We
good
have
match
9
versus
bodies.
Sacramento. Should play a lot of minutes.
Assuming I'm counting correctly, it's 9 bodies for Portland. That's all they have at their disposal. I mean, Simons, Grant, Nurkic, all out. Lillard, of course, shut down, tank mode. But you're adding Cam Reddish, who's doubtful. You're adding Trenton Watford, who's doubtful. And they're not adding new players. It's 9 guys. And amongst those 9 guys, one guy's name is Kevin Knox. Another guy's name is John Butler. That is not a creative player. That is a real person. The backup 5. Keon Johnson, who actually did really well last game because he got all the mop-up stuff, and Portland got mollywopped, no surprise. Sacramento, 14-point favorites on the road. Like, when has that ever happened for the Sacramento Kings? I mean, I would say the last time the Kings are 14-point favorites on the road, it has to have been like at least 10 years ago, right? I don't know. When does that happen? It's just going to be an absolute shellacking. I was looking at, defensive metrics last. So, if you do the entire season, right? Defensive rating, the worst defensive rating of the entire season. Rockets 124, Indiana 121, second worst. Sacramento, by the way, really bad at 120. Portland 119. So 2 of the top 4 worst defensive teams on the year. But of late, geez, Portland and Houston so bad. Houston at 130, Sacramento 125. Portland's at 119, which is kind of surprising. I think I extended it out more before last 10 games, right? Is that what it was? 119. Point is, it's 2 really bad defensive teams. 235.5 is an interesting total to consider going over, but that Blazers offense is really bad. It's the worst offense in basketball the last 10 games, and that's worse than the Spurs and the Pistons and the Hornets and anybody else you can think of that's terrible, because Ryan Arcidiacono is running point for Portland, and it's ugly. Shaden Sharp, I guess, is kind of sort of the real point. The rookie, he's raw, but he's got talent. It's bad. It's really, really bad in Portland. It's some terrible basketball, but it's a great spot, like you said, for Sabonis. And I think Fox is spectacular too. If not Sabonis, Fox is going to thrash him. Maybe both.
Yep. Yeah. That's all I got. That's all. How many bets do I have? All 31 bets I have today.
You have any lineup for baseball tomorrow just yet? Obviously, baseball, you're super excited.
I have not looked into it at all. I'm having a kid in the next week, so things have, and SGA is out.
Ah, there we go. Is anybody else out?
Lindy Waters.
Anybody else of note?
Nope. Doesn't look like it so far.
That's Lindy Waters the third to you.
The third.
Yeah. Not to be confused with. Yeah, so again, that's a legit injury. And by the way, if assuming that they're fine, like if Williams gets to do his thing today or Giddey, this feels like Giddey is always a threat to get that triple double. If no SGA, he's trying. I'm just taking a peek as far as everything interesting on those guys, but yeah, it's the Pistons. I wouldn't be shocked if Giddey drops his triple dub today. The only issue would be is that they played yesterday, back half of back to back. They might push his minutes down a little bit, but he's going to thrive against Detroit. Whatever his number is, if you can hit it now, if it's out there, it's probably going to jump up with SGA being out.
Yep. All right. Well, that should do it. That's the show. Hope you enjoyed it. Back in tomorrow with some bases ball. We're out of here. Later, kids.
Holler.